So today we'll be conducting our Doing Business in Curacao. This is part of our mission at Export TT to double non-energy exports throughout the world. We have identified a few key markets, Curacao being one. Is one of our close neighbors here, close in the Caribbean. So recently we've had Curacao pop up as the number 10 ranked in our market of interest surveys by our local exporters. And the Dutch Caribbean is a fairly unexplored market, so we really wanted to tap into that. Curacao is also known to have a high per capita income. It's well developed in terms of infrastructure. There are strong ties in terms of Europe and the United States of America, which will be explored when you look at the products that they have within the Curacao market. It may be a small market, but it's heavily reliant on tourism. And well, that tourism has proven to maximize how much they've been able to survive in this troubling times. Even post-pandemic, well, not post-pandemic because we haven't left the pandemic as yet. Even during the pandemic, we've saw that Curacao has been resilient. They've managed to vaccinate a large portion of their population, and they've had a great intake within the vacation period, which is in July, August. And let me don't keep you any further and introduce you to our consultant on this project. This is Yonka Advertising and Marketing Consultants. And today I will introduce Billy Yonka, and he will start off the presentation on doing business in Curacao. Billy?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for the introduction, Eunice. As Eunice told you, Curacao is a pretty well-developed island. We have, through the presentation, you'll see that not only is tourism important, but there's also growth going on in the other sectors. So without further ado, let's start the presentation. Are you guys there?
Yes, they're there, Billy. Everyone's on mute, so you can go ahead and start the presentation.
Yeah, hold on. Thanks. Thank you.
No problem.
For some reason, my screen, my Zoom screen disappeared here. Here we go. Okay, does everybody? All right, let's see here. Okay, my presentation today will introduce you to the island. We'll talk about the population a little bit. We'll talk about the Curacao's economy, market entry, and also new developments happening on the island. Curacao is located 44 miles off the coast of Venezuela. We're like an hour and a half flight away from Trinidad and Tobago. We have the island's 170 square miles and 444 square kilometers. It's an autonomous country within the Dutch Kingdom, which I'll explain to you in a couple of minutes. We have more than 50 nationalities living together in harmony on the island. Languages on the island, most of the population can speak 4 languages. Papiamento is the native language, which is a mixture of Dutch, English, French, African, and Portuguese. It is also spoken in Bonaire and Aruba. But Dutch is the official, also one of the official languages, and it's given at schools, English and Spanish. Our currency is tied to the US dollar, and the exchange rate is 182 per US dollar. So we don't have fluctuation in exchange rates. We have religious liberty. It's a Roman Catholic, most of the Roman Catholic island. and 98% of the island is literate. The Kingdom of the Netherlands is consisting of 4 countries. You have the Netherlands, Curacao, St. Martin, and Aruba. Bonaire, St. Eustatius, and Saba, which are the smaller islands, are part of the Netherlands. They're like a state and fall under the Dutch government. Curacao, St. Martin, and Aruba have their own prime minister, their own parliament, and also most of the laws, they have their own laws and import duties and whatever is separate. It's not the same as the Netherlands. This has been since 2010, when firstly in 1984, Aruba split off from the Netherlands Antilles, which was called the Sixth Island. And then in 2010, Curacao and St. Martin also became a country within the kingdom. All of our foreign embassies and all of those fall under the Dutch, and also our defense fall under the Dutch kingdom, or under the Netherlands, sorry. The population of Curacao is 156,000 as per 2020, 156,000. Pre-COVID, Curacao received approximately 1 million visitors yearly. You know, you keep on hearing that tourism is gonna take about 3 to 4 years to recover. I believe here in Curacao, and we've also seen it in Aruba, it's recovering faster than we expected. As a matter of fact, in July, our number 1 market, which is Holland, broke all records with the amount of tourists that we received in 1 month, which are over 22,000. We have about, right now, out of Dutch, to give an example, out of the Dutch market, we have 26 weekly flights out of Amsterdam, and we have two flights a week out of Brussels. So that's a very important market for us. As you have felt it, we have also felt it. There's a surge in immigrants from Venezuela. And they're not even part of the number of what we're talking about. There's a calculation that we have about 10,000, 5 to 10,000 undocumented Venezuelans on the island. Curacao is run by the women, as we all can see. 54%. We're one of the places in the world where there's a largest female population, which over 54.4%, and 45% are men. Age groups, as you can see, 25 to 54 is about 40% of the market. And 55 to 64 and 65 plus is also a pretty big amount. So it's mostly a market that is it's not a young market. It's a middle-aged to older market, as you can see. Curaçao's economy, GDP in 2019, the latest numbers we have right now, was over 3 billion. Real GP is over 2.7 billion. We've seen a nominal growth of minus 85% in 2019. And also the growth, the real GDP growth went down 3.4%. Also, we saw a negative growth in 2019. Curacao is heavily dependent on imports due to its size as well as its limited resources. Our the country where we import the most is the United States, but we also import out of the Netherlands, which is also one of the countries where a lot of our imports come in. And as you can see, the rest of the world, which is mostly Latin America and Asia, and Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and Panama. Curaçao's economy, just to give you an example of the salaries that we're talking about on the island, most people make here about $550 to $1,100 a month. The salaries, the minimum salary on the island is about $800, but you do have workers that are not that do not work in the total employment, but they do work separately, and that's why we have these numbers. As was told at the beginning, Curacao has a pretty high income compared with the rest of the region. And that is due to a couple of reasons. One is that we had a vibrant, and we still have, it's not as vibrant as it used to be, financial sector, but also the refinery, which I'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Tourism has grown in the last 20 years, 20 to 30 years. Since 1992, it's been growing steadily to where it's at today. Curaçao's economy has a diversified setup based on foreign exchange. Tourism, as you can see, is 40% of the total exports from the island. Merchandise, including free zone merchandise, we do have a free zone on the island, it's 22.8, of which 51.8% is bunkering. Professional technical commercial services is 15.2%. Production services, of which 82.8% is oil refinery. Merchandise operations, and like I mentioned at the beginning, the international financial services. This is a closer breakdown: transport services, communication services, construction services, and ICT information services. That, by the way, is a very, that's a growing market there. We've seen a substantial growth in the last couple of years when it comes to ICT and information services, and I'll also discuss that later on in the presentation. What makes Curacao very interesting for companies is that it's a great, it's kind of a hub to enter the Dutch Caribbean and also the Netherlands. Curacao, of course, being part of the Dutch Kingdom, has special dealings with Holland, meaning that when you produce products here and export them there, you pay almost no duty, you don't pay duty. But also there's a lot of connection between Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, and St. Martin when it comes to products. A lot of our distributors on island have offices in all those islands that I just mentioned, and they handle mostly the 4 islands. To give an example, our agency also does work on those islands. So it's, even though we're separated by the ocean, we're pretty close when it comes to business. So that is a very interesting information for you to know if you want to start importing into Curacao, to also look at expanding your products into the rest of the Dutch Caribbean through Curacao. You know, we had a lot of questions at the beginning of when we were approached about rules and regulations to import, where surprisingly Curacao has very little, almost no laws that you need to know before you import products into the island. So there's no product entry requirements except for food and beverage, and that of course has to do with expiration date, which is very important. That's one thing they do request that you have on your product. The labeling is also important. As a matter of fact, labeling was so liberal that we've had Chinese products come in Chinese, which of course the government got rid of right away. But of course, your labeling in English or in Spanish or here in Dutch also is accepted. And the volume also, to put that on your labeling, how big, how much product you have, and the quantity dimensions are standard measures. What is important for you to enter Curacao? I think it's very important that you have a local person or company with already established connections in the market. It's very difficult if you come in and try to do it by yourself. It might even be great idea to have a representative office on the island, a small scale office with a Curacao resident as manager, depending on how much you want to import and how much you want to extend your exports out of Curacao, and also direct business to business. Curacao has the following taxes and duties, which I think is important to you. Profit tax is 22% on the island. Import duty depends on the product. Import duty runs from 5.5% up to 35%. Sales tax right now is 0% for products that are important for foodstuffs like vegetables, fruits, bread and stuff are 0%. 6% for other products, and 9% when you talk about luxury items. I must tell you though, there's going to be a change in the coming months in this. We're going to a one tier system, which is going to be 9% sales tax on when you import a product and 7% on services. So on top of your import duty when you're importing a product, there will also be a 9% sales tax. Now that sales tax is not accumulative. It is right now, but it's not going to be in the future. I expect that change to take place within the next couple of months. Regarding food and beverage, most of it is imported. Local here, there's some production when it comes to food and beverage, but most are imported. Without the local distributor, we believe it's very difficult to enter the market. The distributors are the ones that sell all imported products, except for a couple of mega supermarkets or some smaller supermarkets, but mostly the mega ones import some of their products, and they are an exception. Most of the other supermarkets or restaurants buy from the distributors. U.S. manufacturers should identify the distributors that will be able to sell your products. I'll give a small presentation. We were going to have the president of the Importers Association today, but she called off this morning due to some she had some emergencies. So I'll give that presentation and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. And for you to find a distributor, you can either go through the Importers Association, or you can come to the chamber and we will be more than willing to give you a list and tell you which are the distributors that you're looking for depending on what product you're selling. Technology, like I was saying, Curacao is growing a lot in technology. As a matter of fact, we're becoming a very important player when it comes to software and apps in the area. A lot of companies that have started are there, but you don't hear a lot about them. But to give you an example, one of the companies that we have here produces software for most of the banks in the Caribbean. So for companies out of Trinidad and Tobago to enter the market, we highly recommend to find a local partner to work with. Companies that are looking for, and I think that has to do with know-how in the market. But if you have a software that you want to sell or hardware, and you think that Curacao is a market for it, we do recommend for you try to see if you can find a partner in that industry. One thing that I wanted to mention is that for companies that are looking to place or store data, Curacao has one of the only Tier 4 data centers in the area. And we have companies such as Google and Microsoft making use of it. If you as a company are looking for a safe and secure spot to store your data, here we have a privacy law, so nobody can look at your data by law. And also, of course, we're out of, we're kind of out of the hurricane belt, and we don't feel earthquakes and stuff like that. So it's important. We have a lot of companies, especially out of Latin America, also that are storing their data at the Tier 4 data center that we have here. Construction materials. Curacao is going through a building boom. Right now, a lot of projects are being announced, especially in the hotel industry. We're building right now, there's about probably 7,000 rooms are going to be built in the next year or two. There are some already being built right now. But also, what is interesting about Curacao when it comes to building material is that Curacao has a lot of buildings that are 200 to 300 years old. As a matter of fact, we're on the list of the World Heritage List when it comes to our architecture in downtown Curacao. And what is happening is we're getting a lot of investors, especially out of Europe, that are buying these houses and are fixing them up to either make them restaurants or B&Bs or hotels. And there's a boom going on there too. So we expect, especially in the construction area, that in the next couple of years, you're gonna see some important movement on the island. For you to sell your building materials, if you want to sell on the island, we highly recommend to approach. There's only two companies really that is the distributors, or they're hardware stores really, but they also sell to the building, the construction companies, and that's Koiman or Building Depot. But also there's a very big construction group called Janssen de Jong. As a matter of fact, they're one of the owners of the Curacao Airport. But you can also, of course, if you feel like it, to approach some of the construction companies on island. The biggest one I just mentioned, there are some smaller ones around, and there's some really small ones. But that also, if you are interested to see how you can work the island to import your building materials, I would recommend for you to get in touch with the Chamber of Commerce also, and they will be able to send you in the right direction. New developments on the island. There's talk about an airport city, and we are in development of that. We have a DCSX, stock and bond exchange, logistical hub development, which is something we've been working on. We have a lot of contacts with Colombia and Panama when it comes to that, and we're working on those projects. Like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, there's a variety of new hotel projects. Courtyard Marriott, Corendon, which is now a Hilton, and Penn Resort, which is going to become an all-inclusive Marriott. We have 2 mega piers on the island. The second one was just finished about a year ago. Too bad that we had the COVID, more than a year ago, really. The COVID has really got me out of whack here. So we have 2 piers, and we've already seen cruise ships coming in. Not at the amounts that we looked at in the past, but we believe that within the next 4 to 6 months, we should start getting to be a little normal. During the normal time of the year, we were looking at about 500,000 to 600,000 cruise passengers a year. Right now, there's negotiations going on for the renovation and management of the oil refinery. We're almost at a stage where hopefully that will be rounded off. If that's the case, you're going to see a major impact on our economy, positively, of course, because the oil refinery not only employs about 1,100 to 1,500 people in an island that, which is about, you can say, 20% of our, we have 56,000 people that work, so 1,100 does make an impact. But also indirectly, it will have a major impact because all the companies around the refinery that service the refinery, we also have a dry dock area that is doing, that's one of the largest one in the region. All of that, you'll see movement. You'll see movement in the harbor. So those things we think is very important, and hopefully within the next month or two, We'll have a new operator for the refinery. The operator is a local group with unions, and I know that in Trinidad and Tobago you have the same thing. But here it looks pretty positive that that's going to happen, and also some international investors. Give you a little information about our Chamber of Commerce of Curacao. Our board consists of 9 elected officials, 4 small companies and 5 medium. We do an economic analysis at the chamber. By the way, I didn't mention at the beginning, one of my extracurricular jobs is the president of the Curacao Chamber of Commerce. We advise the government when it comes to social, economic, physical, business, and monetary issues. And we also do product development, papers, and we coordinate the business community on the island. Our registration, by law, you have to register a company in Curacao at the chamber, and registration of companies and legal entities is a must. We advise on business licenses requests. We obtain experts, authentic documents, and declarations, the solution of legal entities, and we also execute name checks. Before you can name any company on the island, the notary would come to us with the name, and we will check to make sure that you can use the name, so that you don't have any problems with somebody that has the same name, company, or close to it. As you can see, we have over almost 40,000 entities registered in the chamber. Legal entities, that are locally active, and companies, we're talking about over 30,000. And international companies that are registered on the island is about 9. You see a decrease on that, and the reason is that Curacao is going away from the offshore banking sector and is doing more financial services. As you know, as you can have heard recently, that the G7 countries have decided to kind of kill that business. So, but we do offer other financial services, and we hope that that will grow again in the near future. The Chamber has an Entrepreneurship Center. We do international promotion services, collective participation in trade fairs, trade mission, organization of trade fairs locally. So if Export TT decides to do a trade fair with you as companies, or your organization, or your association, you can come and we can help you organize that. We assist the foreign investors and entrepreneurs. So if you have any questions, you need some information about Curacao, free of charge, you get in touch with us and we can give you that information. As a matter of fact, we have the manager of the department that handles that with us on the call. So if there's any questions regarding that matter, you can answer those. We have assisted to local companies in their export efforts. We have a good relationship, which is, we believe, very important when it comes to the kingdom, with the embassies, consulates in the region and worldwide. With the Dutch government, its entities, and the private sector in Holland. We also have chambers of commerce. We're part of the chambers of commerce worldwide. Members of the World Chamber Federation. We sign MOU with business organizations, whether it's local or international, to see how we can work together. And we're founding members of bilateral chambers in Colombia, Costa Rica, and Panama. That's a little bit about Curacao, the economy, information about trade. Eunice, I don't know if we want to go to questions before, or should we go right into the presentation of the distributors?
You'll take questions at the end, Billy. So you can go into the distributors one, and who else has to present could present afterwards.
Okay, very good.
All right.
Hold on a second. Okay, everybody sees, I hope. If that's not the case, please let me know.
Yes.
BVCA is a Importers and Distributor Association that's been pretty active on the island for the last 20 to 30 years. Their vision is to be strong and representative economic shackle within the business community of Curacao. It was established in August 25th, 1995. Members are owners, director, or key managers of a distribution company. The organization structure is as follows. They have daily board and they have membership. Here you can see the breakdown of some of the board. And their members include these companies that I'm going to mention to you right now: Best Caribbean Brands, Beaufray, EWT, which is mostly a meat and food importer. I will give you information about the companies. Virpos, it's a paper product and also beverage importer. Frale Agencies does importing of foodstuffs and also materials such as cleaning materials. Curacao Foods says it all. They import food stuff. Casa Tienda, Casa Mendez, and Costa Gomez. These are all. The last one is a small hardware operation. Casa Tienda and Casa Mendez are also importers of clothes. Martin Trading, also importer of mostly product, not food, but anything else. Some food, but not a lot. Hector Rodriguez does import a lot of food and some beverage. Licores Maduro, which is an importer of beverage, mostly alcohol and soft drinks and water. And Sunny Trading, I know something happened here. Peter's Import, one of the larger ones on the island that imports almost everything. Moises de Marchena also is a large one that also imports a lot. Sunny Trading is mostly imports mostly animal feed. Trans-Caribbean is also not only some products, but also mostly, medicine and products like that. Satex Agencies, a lot of paper products. Cito Trading. And the members have vast experience in not only importing, but also distributing products. They all have a good reputation. If not, they cannot be member of the association. They do a lot of co-op investing on when it comes to marketing the product on the island, using all kinds of ways to market products, whether it's in store or through traditional media or through social media. We have a very good infrastructure when it comes to distribution companies on the island. We went through a time when a lot of companies, in the past is if you have a certain brand, you can only, the only one that sells it is the distributor. That changed along the way where what happened was the mega stores and some of the supermarkets decided to import those products directly from sources outside of Curacao, which brought a lot of problems. But that is now trying to switch back, I think, where it's switching. I don't think it's switching, that the distributors are becoming very important. And of course, they have to, and they do have a very excellent relationship with all the retailers on the island. This was the person that was supposed to give us a presentation, but this morning she had an urgency. I hope I gave you mostly information, but if you need anything else when it comes to question section of it, we would be able to give that information to you. And that's it, Eunice.
All right. So thanks, Billy. Will that be it for you for a while? And I can do the cargo consolidators.
Okay.
All right. So Gavin, if you can play the presentation we have recorded for cargo consolidators, that would be great. All right.
Thank you for the opportunity to present on the logistics aspect on doing business in Curacao. My name is Stacey Baig, and I work for Cargo Consolidators as its sales team lead. General import policy. Curacao operates a free market economy, which has largely been liberalized and non-discriminatory. This means the country's import policy is very amenable to trade. The laws which govern importation of goods into the country are the General Ordinance Import, Export and Transit and the National Ordinance on the Tariffs of Import Duties. All importers and their agents are required to submit an import declaration, which would include the following. Now, this would be if you are exporting from Trinidad into Curacao. These are the documents that Curacao would need in order to have the cargo properly shipped and cleared, etc. The invoice stating the value, type, and quality of the goods or goods imported. Bills of lading, insurance certificates, import license, permits and certificates where necessary, value of declaration form for goods. Once approval of the application, which usually takes about 48 hours, an assessment notice will be generated reflecting total taxes payable. In the absence of invoices, the goods will be examined by a customs officer. This must be paid before the cargo is released. Certain goods may be released pending a guarantee after duty and tax liability. The import tariff system. There's an import registration system in place in Curacao. This system usually applies to such imported products as rice, tea, coffee, flour, and sugar. Import duties apply to these various range of products, ranges between 0% and 18%. Excise duties are levied on beer, cigarettes, spirits, and gasoline. For pharmaceuticals, pesticides, narcotics, and psychotropic drugs, there are different import regulations. Strict rules are followed when dealing with these products. In addition, registration is required prior to importing these products. Modes of transport. If we're looking at options in which to ship from Trinidad to Curacao, one of the most popular ways would be through ocean freight. When shipping your cargo through ocean freight, you will first be asked about the size or volume of your cargo. The size of the volume determines the best suitable option for you. LCL shipping or FCL shipping. LCL refers to less than container load, and FCL stands for full container load. An FCL shipment or full container shipment, as its name suggests, is a shipment that occupies the entire space of a container without having to share it with other cargo from other shippers. LCL, or groupage, as it's otherwise known, refers to shipments that take up to only a portion of the entire container and is shipped alongside other merchandise from other shippers in the same container. So currently, the LCL and FCL options via ocean freight would be weekly sailings for container loads, for full container loads. The transit time is about 13 days, and there are a couple of lines that offer direct sailings to Curacao. With the LCL option, it takes a little bit longer. The cargo is sent from Trinidad to Miami, from Miami, then to Curacao. We offer monthly sailing options, and the transit time is approximately 21 days. Air freight. Currently, there are three options in which to send your cargo via air freight. Amerijet, which is an air freight service, would do a routing through Port of Spain, then Miami, then Curacao. The frequency would be Monday to Friday, and from Miami to Curacao, Monday and Thursday. The transit time, it's about 4 to 6 days. Caribbean Airlines, which is an air freight service, would also offer a direct sailing, would be to Port of Spain and then Curacao, and its transit time is about 1 day. DHL, which is a courier service, would offer a service Tuesday to Friday, and the transit time would be about 2 to 3 days. With COVID, of course, there would be some disruptions in the service. So the routing sailings are flights are subject to change. Let's talk a little bit about the Curacao free zone. And this is where if you are in Curacao and you want to bring across items utilizing the free zone, this is the procedure. The Curacao free or economic zones are regulated by the Economic Zone Law. There are over 80 businesses that provide wholesale and retail items to approximately 30 million consumers throughout the Caribbean. The import, export, and transit of merchandise is completely duty-free, while special tax incentives are provided to free economic zone companies through the Economic Zone Law. There are two zones located adjacent to the International Airport Hato and one at the harbor. Shops are open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekdays, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturdays, and from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sundays. Visitors buy up to 100 US in items, which they can take away with them from the free zone. Or if they go over the amount, they can have the items packaged and sent to the airport, up to 32 kilograms, which they collect upon departure from the island. Alternatively, they can have the items shipped for a minimal fee. Some of these traditional and non-traditional services provided by forwarders. Consolidation services. Shipper consolidation. One local manufacturer consolidating a full container with multiple orders for multiple buyers in the same destination country. So let's say, for example, a shipper who wants to ship from Trinidad to Curacao with multiple consignees could offer a shipper consolidation service. Buyer consolidation. One consignee at destination purchasing from many manufacturers or sellers in Trinidad loading into one full container. So this is where we have one buyer in Curacao, or the consignee, who is willing to work with a number of shippers from Trinidad. So the container will be filled with multiple shippers and the full container would be sent to this consignee. Non-traditional services provided by forwarders. Loading services. Professionally loading containers for smaller manufacturers who may not have facilities. Documentation services. Issuing bills of lading, certificates of origin, export customs documentation, etc. Short and sweet as always. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity as always. And if there are any questions, feel free to give us a call and we can walk you through the process. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day.
Okay, that was the presentation from Stacy. We thank her for submitting that pre-recorded presentation. We go back to you, Billy. Billy?
I'm here.
Yeah, so what next you have in store for us, or are we going straight into questioning?
Let's go into question and answer. I got almost all the information.
All right, so I'll start with the questions from the chat box, and I think we have a lot of time, so we can possibly even have people raise their hands and allow them to ask you questions directly. So let's go to the chat box first. All right, let me see. There was an initial question from Luke. What are the type of products that are exported? Let's know. Let me open this shop. What are the type? Yeah, what are the type of products already importing and exporting between Trinidad and Tobago and Curacao? Would you have an idea to give him any insight on that, Billy?
We do have a drink that's being imported out of Trinidad. Honestly, I don't remember the name of it, but it's a soft. Pardon me?
I remember we had a conversation before, and it was Buster and Chubby.
Yes.
Being imported already. Drinks along those lines.
Yes, they are being imported. For the
Yes.
rest, I don't have a lot of information, but that's something we can find out precisely through the chamber if we can find out which products are being imported.
All right, and I also.
Eunice.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, morning, everyone. This is Kanika Espinosa. I can add a little bit to that answer. So based on trade map, we are seeing exports from Trinidad and Tobago to Curacao of cement. Cement is our biggest export to that country. The next one would be like oils, for example, coconut oils or margarine. And then we do a lot of beverages as well, beverages and spirits. So rums, soft drinks, juices, and also cereals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess Kanika answers that question first. Let's move on. Is there a web that we can go to check the name of those distributors? But I guess you already gave the distributors in the presentation, but we'll share the presentations afterwards with the registrants of this doing business in Curacao. So they will be able to get the names of all these companies. But is there also an option on the Chamber of Commerce where we can find the list of companies as well, Billy?
Yeah, you can find a list of companies. What we have at the chamber is a business point. We call it business point, and those are companies that register with us. They're interested in doing business with international companies. So you can get in touch with the chamber and or I can also send you the information on where they have to go to find the information about the business point.
All right, great. So one of the other questions we had coming in was, what percentage of the population approximately speaks English?
I would say about 75 to 80%. Most everybody on the island speaks English, especially now these days with social media. When you walk on the street, a child speaks English before it speaks Dutch or any other language because of the exposure they have. But English is a very widely spoken language on the island.
All right, great. Next, we have a question. In your opinion, Billy, how is the logistics services over there? For example, local distribution, warehousing, and enterprises of 3PL.
Well, let me tell you, like I said during the presentation, they were very well organized. The companies have a lot of experience. There's a lot of they're very good warehousing on the island with the distributors, or if you want to do it on your own, through companies such as the Free Zone Company, which they also have other properties where you can store that are not Free Zone. Shipping, you said example like warehouses, sure, enterprise or 3PL. I don't know what they mean with what enterprises of 3PL means. Maybe you can tell me.
I'm not quite too sure about that.
Yeah. Anyways, you can be assured that whichever distributor you get, they're very well organized.
All right, great. So I saw a question with regards to sailing time by vessel. You'll have to reach out to cargo consolidators with regards to that.
If I might say something about that, Eunice.
Yeah.
They put on my hat as Curacao Chamber. It's a problem that we've had in the Caribbean for years, and that's why inter-island, whether it's tourism or trade, is so horrible. We are working on trying to see, I am working on trying to see if we can get some shipping companies, small shipping companies that go between the islands. It doesn't make sense that you can fly from Trinidad to Curacao in an hour and a half and it takes you 21 days to set a container. Because it has to go to Miami. That doesn't make sense. So
Yeah.
it's something that the Caribbean has to work on. We really have to work on that problem because it's a major problem that has been discussed for many years, and hopefully we can change that in the next year or two.
All right. So another questions we have from Kasim's Printing, I believe. What opportunities are there for printing and packaging materials, including brand tokens?
Well, printing, there it's one, as you can hear, I'm an advertising agency. Most of the printing that's done on the islands either locally or they use Colombia and Europe. There's a small possibility to sell product printing materials, but it's very price competitive. So you have to be ready for major price competitiveness. When it comes to packaging, yeah, there's possibilities for packaging. There are some products that are being built here. I mentioned a company called Vircos that sells packaging products. There are other companies on the island that do that. So if you want to sell those products, sure, but to print packaging products, it's also not a big business on the island.
All right. So I'm seeing someone from Domus. They're asking, seeing that you have big players like Coimans in the market, will a company who wishes to sell windows and doors be able to compete?
Sure.
I think the answer to that is yes.
Yeah. I must tell you though, there are probably, I think about 3 or 4 companies that do produce windows and doors on the island, but that doesn't mean you can come in. I mean, if you have a good product and, sure, there's a market. And now especially with the building boom going on. I tell you though, when it comes to the buildings I discussed in downtown of the island, which are the older buildings, you will need to do a lot of windows, wood windows wood doors and windows, because those are all, you have to put the original design of that and they're all wood.
All right, great. I saw someone here, it's Hesma Tyson. They are asking whether there's an appetite for hot sauce in Curacao.
Oh yes. We're Latin American and Caribbean. You can be sure of that. Sure, there is a market there for it. I highly recommend you to try to come into the market with something like that, because hot sauce is used a lot on the island, and there's a possibility there.
All right. One of the persons was clarifying that 3PL is third-party logistics.
Say that again.
3PL is third-party logistics.
Third party.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, no, third-party logistics. Sure, there's companies that do that, and there's a good. I would say about 7 or 8 of them on the island, and they're all good. So sure, there's a possibility.
All right, and looking at how price sensitive the market is, because I remember we discussed it earlier, not in this presentation, Billy, but we discussed how the COVID impact was on the Curacao market. So I know price sensitivity is even greater now, even in the pandemic. So could you just give a little more explain on how price sensitive the market is?
Let me put it this way, it is price sensitive, but I must tell you, because of the income level on the island, people look at products that are quality products, and that's why you see a lot of imports coming in from the US and Europe. Right now, there's as you said, there's a heavy pressure on prices, especially when it comes to shipping prices, and that has put a lot of pressure on the increased prices drastically on the island. We're talking with the government right now, because when you import any product, you pay duty based on not only the SIF of the product, meaning insurance and freight is also included. So we're trying to see if we can convince the government to get rid of the freight, or put the freight at the prices pre-2019. Because to give you an example, right now, when you ship a container out of China, it used to cost you $3,000, now it costs you $20,000 for the same container. So that has put a lot of pressure. It is price sensitive in the sense for the lower part of the market, but quality is very important to the island, and people are willing to pay if the product is good. So it's 50-50.
All right. So we're going back to our appetite. So people want to know about the chocolate. How the chocolate doing in the market? How is chocolate?
Well, don't forget, we're Dutch. Most of us come from the Dutch, so the Dutch love chocolate.
Yeah.
People, the problem with Curacao, it's not, well, I don't know if it's a problem because I love chocolate too. But we have a sweet tooth. So any sweet products that come into the island, especially when it comes to chocolate, there's surely a possibility for that.
All right, great. I saw our friends at Dockside Food. They want to know about seafood manufacturers and distributors. They want to get in some of the seafood in the Curacao market. How is it there?
Well, seafood distributor, I think there's one. There's some of them. There's one that really concentrates on buying local fish products and distributing it. But sure, we're in the Caribbean, and fish is very important, especially during Lent on the island, and which runs from April for 6 weeks. But anyways, yeah, there's a possibility there, and we can help you with the distributors that do sell seafood if you're interested to the chamber.
All right, and one of the questions we had previously was whether the construction services are needed. So like the actual service, not just the material.
Good question. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert in construction, but there's always a possibility to work with a local construction company, be partners with them to help them out with anything they might need. So I would recommend any companies that want to do construction on the island to try to see to enter that way. Or if you need information about the projects that are in the pipeline of being built, you can also always, again, get in touch with the chamber. We have that information.
All right, so I'm seeing another question on what is the estimated universe of retail stores on the island? So like examples would be groceries, mom and pop, supermarket, convenience stores.
Retail is there's a lot of retail on the island. When it comes to mom and pops, I don't know if you have them in Trinidad, but in Curacao, a lot of the mom and pops are Chinese that have small mini markets, they call them here. There are in neighborhoods. They are really the convenience stores of the island. There are major supermarkets, probably I would say about 9 or 10 of them. You also have what we call wholesale supermarkets, which sell products by the box, or you can't buy just one. You have to buy more than that, which you can also do on the island. Those are there's 2 of them. So that's the idea of it. There's a lot of retail on the island. As a matter of fact, one of the things that's being brought up on the island right now is they're feeling the internet when it comes to sales, because some of the people are going through internet to order their products instead of buying it locally through retail stores.
All right. So like in terms of like ICT, we have a question from Luke. What percentage of the population accessing the technologies are approximately like through social media, internet, smartphones? So I know you just mentioned that. So I think it ties together. Like what percentage of the population you think is on social media, looking at advertising, looking at how to access these different products?
Let me put it this way. I have a lot of international clients that advertise through my agency here in Curacao. And one of the things they always say is we want to do social media. Curacao has 150,000 inhabitants, but it has 6 daily newspapers. It has 27 radio stations. It has 4 TV stations. So what does that tell you is that, sure, social media is up and coming, but it's not there yet when you compare us with the rest of the world. Everybody on the island has a telephone, but everybody on the island doesn't use social media when it comes to advertising. They go mostly to newspapers. Everybody buys a newspaper or reads a newspaper daily till today, even though those newspapers are also online. And so social media is up and coming, but if you want to really sell a product on the island, if you want to market a product, you have to include the media like newspapers, radios, billboards, TVs. We're not there yet with like Europe and the US and a lot of places. Even though I will guarantee you that 99% of the island has a cellular phone walking around with the cell. So.
All right. So great. So we have a question here from Ramdan. He's asking, who is the major telecom operator and do they operate in all 4 countries, the Netherlands, Aruba, Curacao, and St. Martin?
Well, I think it's somebody you all know. Flow. Flow just bought the local company, which was UTS, and they are now, or Liberty also, their mother company is the owner. And Flow is also, I think, in Aruba and Bonaire. I'm not sure, but Bonaire for sure. But Flow, that's the answer.
Yeah, Flow.
Even though we do have Digicel also on the island, by the way, and there's a smaller company also that does that has it, but I would say those two, either Flow or Digicel. But Flow is the dominant one.
Flow is dominant. All right. We have a question from Trisha. She's asking, are you familiar with Active Services? If so, can you elaborate on the role they play in helping companies access the market in Curacao?
Active Services? No.
Yeah.
I'm not, if there's a company that is looking to come into Curacao, I recommend them first place to visit, and it's not because I'm the president of the chamber, is the chamber. It doesn't cost you. You get all the information you need, and based on that information, you can continue either speaking to companies that might be able to help you, with distributors, with rules and regulations. We have Stephen Damiana, who's the manager of that department. And if there's any questions you have on that, I'll make sure that I send it to Eunice, the contact of that department, so that you can email us or send us any questions and we will be able to answer them. So I would highly recommend anybody that comes into the market, go first to the chamber and then on to where you need. We'll send you to the right place. We're not here to give anybody something special. We're here, we represent all the 20,000 companies that are registered on the island. So we're here to give you the information that you need for you to be successful.
All right, great. But Trisha, would you like to unmute your mic and I can have one of the hosts unmute you and you can explain further? Let's see if we get Trisha here in this conversation. Hi, morning. Hello?
I hear somebody.
Sorry,
but...
thank you.
Okay.
I didn't hear the question. I had a little bit of a distraction.
No, we are asking you if you can explain the active services part because he wasn't too familiar.
Okay, it's a company that are in touch with some of our clients who they are offering to have basically you can like sign up with them and they get permission for your goods to be sold in the Curacao and the 4 markets. I think it sounds like they act as agents on behalf of the client. From checking on in terms of their social media, their website and stuff, I didn't see a whole lot. It seems to be a relatively new entity. So I've been trying to get some more information on them, but essentially, so far they have offered, to have approvals done by the relevant authorities, as well as seemingly represent on behalf of the client that signs up with them. So that's why I refer to them as something like an agency. but I think the full name is something about Active Business Development Services.
No, I think, like I said earlier, I highly recommend for you just get in touch with Stephen Damiana at the chamber and let them help you with that information. By the way, importing products, you don't need permits to import any product except if it's medicine or if it's chemical and that kind of stuff. But
it's I think like beauty type products.
Oh, beauty type products don't need special permission to enter the country.
Okay.
Unless it's chemical, it doesn't need special permission to enter the country.
Okay. Okay,
Right.
I'll make a note of that.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Trisha, for your question. All right. So next we have a question in the chat box again. What are the names of the 2 large wholesalers and also which retail channels, example, Chinese mom and pop supermarkets or wholesalers, do you think moves the most volume when it comes to food and beverage?
2 large wholesalers. Peter Imports is one of them. Hector Enriquez Bay is also one of them. I would also add Fral Imports.
Yes.
Last but not least, Marique Capriles. Sorry, no, not Marique Capriles. Oh, this I don't remember the name right now off the top of my head, but anyways, when it comes to Chinese Papa Mart supermarkets, who do you think moves the most volume?
No, like overall, who do you think moved the most volume overall? Through which retail channel? Would it be the supermarkets, the wholesalers? Who do you think?
I would say the supermarkets. Oh, well, of course, the wholesalers sell to the supermarkets.
But which supermarkets would you say?
You're talking about a supermarket wholesaler.
Which supermarkets would you say would be the best supermarkets to get into?
I think Centrum Supermarket is one of them. Oisco is another one. He is very big. He's a membership kind of supermarket. Those are the 2 big ones. I would also think about other ones that I could give, like Vreudenhill, which is upscale. You have Esperamos. Oh, sorry, I forgot one of the biggest ones. Mangusa Supermarket is huge. It has a mega supermarket on the island. By far the largest one, Mangusa. That's the one.
Mangusa, oh, great. All right, we have another question here in the chat box. Do you give an idea of the percentage of businesses that use computerized points of sale systems, inventory management, e-commerce systems, and if there is any opening in the market for these types of services?
Almost all companies, most of them, when it comes to medium-sized and large companies, when the retail stores use point of sale. As a matter of fact, there's a law on the island to make sure that people pay the sales tax, and the government has come up that you have to buy their cash register so that they can register every sale that's done. But sure, there is a big use of point of sale, and I do recommend. I think there's a possibility also, depending on what products you're selling. If your product is very interesting to retailers, don't forget, probably about 90% of the island is small to medium-sized business and retail. So there's always a possibility for you to sell your products to those companies, as long as it's not a very big investment.
Yeah. Okay, great. I was wondering at this point in time if we can get Stephen to probably give us a little.
You there?
Yes, I see he's here. If you can give us some insight of what he does and things along those lines.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning, everybody.
All right, good morning.
Thanks for the
Stephen.
opportunity. I'd like just to go into just some small things. For example, you mentioned the part of chocolate. Like Betty said, it's very popular in Curacao, but it also means there are a lot of people offering that, a lot of countries offering it. So you will have a lot of competition. So you have to make sure that you partner up with some kind of importer to make sure that it has a good market entry and popularity, because we have some large brands, such as Dutch brands like Verkade, but then you have Cadbury, England, you have Swiss brands, you have Latin American brands, US brands. So you have from all over the place. So if you want to enter and also take into consideration some trends, it's starting really slow and small, but it's getting there, which is with regards to organic products, but then also darker kinds of chocolate because of people getting a little bit more health conscious and stuff like that. You see more and more of it appearing. So take that into consideration with regards to the chocolate subject. Okay. With regards to connections, smartphones, etc., there's a link on the Bureau of Telecommunication and Posts website that actually gives an oversight of different things with regards to connections and smartphone use, etc. For example, there's smartphone usage of, let me see here, mobile cellular telephone subscriptions of 186,000. So, and we are 150 something thousand. So you have an idea of that. Let me see here. Mobile coverage, 3G mobile network is 100%. LTE mobile network, 90%. Voice network, 100%. So with regards to the penetration of that as well. Broadband subscriptions, around 50,000. That is in 2019. Okay, but all of that is in a broad information document, which I can also email to you, but it's actually publicized also on their website. Yes.
Okay, I see we have a question for you from Kezia. She says, does the chamber assist with getting exemption on products if it doesn't meet some Curacao local regulation?
If it doesn't meet the local regulation, then there would not be an exemption. But if information can be sent on what we are talking about, then it's most probably will be the customs department will take a look at that. If it's something else, then it's the Ministry of Health and Environment. So they will be able to take a look at that.
All right. So
and we can provide a contact. So no problem.
All right. I see we have another question from Luke. He is asking whether there's a skybox / shipbox culture, and if so, which are the big companies and what percentage of the population are already like buying online?
Percentage is very difficult to say, but you have a lot of people buying online. There is a skipbox culture. There is companies that help you when you order your products in the US to ship them here for you. So if that's your question, yes, there is one.
Yeah.
And there was a question also with regards to volume or which products or which channels are more successful. If it's the mini markets, if it's the supermarkets, if it's mom and pop shops, it really depends on the product and what your target group is. So I think there needs to be some research behind it before you can say, oh, that is popular. Because why? You have, like Billy indicated as well, you have Goisco, which is a large supermarket, actually sells also a little bit of wholesale. You have some supermarkets that are really vested into some kinds of niches. For example, there's Van de Tuil. Van de Tuil is focused on Dutch products. So there's people that really shop around going specifically to there because there's a specific brand they used to eat or drink in the Netherlands and they go there to buy that. Yeah. But then they go to their mom and pop shops or the Chinese tokos because it's convenient, because they'll buy things that they need right there, close to their homes. So it really depends what kind of product you have, what the volume would be, and the success of it as well.
Yeah, great. So I didn't want to leave out my friends from the ICT sector. So I don't know if you want to give them a little bit of insight on that, on how the market is in terms of ICT. So like they may be offering services in terms of web design and marketing and so on.
So we have even software development. So it's from A to Z. Actually, I saw also in a presentation we had a couple of weeks ago with TTCSI that there's a lot of opportunities on ICT, creative services, etc. with Trinidad. And that's also the case with Curacao. So you really need to see what the niches are, what kind of special things are being done that you can either partner up for larger markets or make your offering more interesting either in Curacao market or the Trinidad market. Billy, you was going to say something also.
No, I was just, IT is like Steven says, you have to, if you want to get into the market, I think you need to find a partner and see how you can work together. And, the market is very competitive. When it comes to designing and stuff like that, very, very competitive. When it comes to web design, it's competitive. Don't forget, I can go online anywhere and do web design anywhere in the world for almost nothing, which doesn't help you because you need somebody that knows the market. So I think that's important. If you want to do web design, look for a company here, whether it's an agency, whether it's a software company that wants to work with you as to do web design, and let them represent you here and send you the information so you can do to bid on any designs needed for web.
All right, so I've seen we have another question here. Do you have any idea of how receptive the people of Curacao are to foreign brands? And I would add a little further on that question as well. Like how receptive would they be to Caribbean brands, especially English-speaking Caribbean, which Trinidad and Tobago is? And the person asks more specifically, foreign paint brands.
Well, like I said at the beginning, during the presentation, Europe and Holland and US is very important. I must tell you, there's a lot more, whether the brand comes either from South America or the Caribbean, people look at the brand much more closely than they would if it came from the US or Europe. That's not to say that, there's not available, the brand cannot sell, which I think that there's a possibility there. But it is they look at those brands. To give you an example, if it comes out of China, they're very, they look at it very closely. So, just to give you an idea that, everybody's open to imported brands. We hardly produce anything on island. So, so we have to be open to imported brands.
I know of a Curacao company that was also interested in the Trinidad market in regards to paint. So maybe there's a match there. We never know. Maybe depending on what is being offered and what is being sought after, there might be an opportunity there.
All right, I saw Luke identifying. He said there's a color yellow in the back of you. So he said probably there's a market for that because the color seems to be popping in terms of that.
For all colors, because everybody has their own taste and flavor to their homes and everything. But this is the Handelskade, so that's in right here in Willemstad where we're located, and the yellow building is the Peña building. So yeah, colors are important.
Yeah, let me just tell you guys a little bit about the story. Maybe it's just antidote. But you see a lot of buildings of Curacao with all kinds of colors. And the reason for that is very, in the 1700s, there was a governor on the island that suffered of migraine headaches. And all the buildings were white. So he ordered that all buildings have to be painted any color but white. And that's why you see all the colors when you come to Curacao. It's very colorful and, you feel it's Europe and the Caribbean. Let's put it that way. When you look at the downtown, that's Amsterdam, what you see back there, but it's placed in the Caribbean.
All right, great. I saw we have another question from Hesma. She's asking about plastic packaging and whether it's acceptable in Curacao.
Plastic, yes, but there's a movement going on to get rid of it, like everywhere else in the world. So as time goes on, I honestly believe that within a year or two, we're going to see that plastic bags are not allowed anymore, and that kind of stuff. So I think it's on the way out.
Yeah, some supermarkets, for example, have been banning plastic bags and stuff, and it's You see it also in some hotels, etc. Packaging for the deliveries, etc. They use carton and other alternatives. So it is starting to pick up that plastic is going with the way out.
So what recommendations would you say that you could provide to our exporters in terms of that, like for food pouches and so on? Would they need to change the packaging, like plastic packaging?
I tell you something, you would have a leg ahead of your competition if you sell products, and when you market it with something that says it's recyclable or that kind of stuff. I think, especially with the influence that we have from the Dutch market on the island, I think you would have a leg up on any of your competition if your packaging is paper or not plastic. Let's put it that way.
Okay, great. Well, I hope our exporters are taking that advice on. So we're looking at another question here from Rachel Rampersad. She's asking about, is there demand for household and industrial type chemical products like household cleaners, thinners, and degreasers, things along those lines?
There is a market for it. I must tell you that we do have a local producer of cleaning products on the island, soap and cleaning products. But sure, there's a market for it. I don't know what to tell you. When the only problem is when you do import, like I said, chemicals, you have to go there to make sure that it is allowed, and what are the rules and regulations for you to import a certain product. But there's a market there for it.
Is there any insight you can give us on that as well, Stephen, with regards to the chemicals, importing household chemicals, cleaners, and so on?
That also has a variety of brands. So it comes from everywhere. Besides the ones that are made locally, so you really need to know, okay, what is unique about my product competing between all of those others that are already being imported or produced in Curacao. And then you can know that you have an edge, price, quality, and also knowing specific importers that might know the brands as well, that can give an indication, nah, there's no room, or yes, there's need for this, because they would know as well looking at the sales.
All right, great. So we have a lot of questions again this morning. People are really active in the chat box. So we have another question here from Gabriella. She's asking, hi, we produce frozen Caribbean fruits. Is there a sizable market for this? And can you advise on 2 frozen food importers?
Yes, there's a huge market when it comes to fruits and vegetables. Frozen, yeah, but the only thing you have to know is that we do import a lot of fresh fruit and vegetables out of South America, especially Colombia. And now when Venezuela, our borders are closed between us and Venezuela, but when that opens up, that's going to make a huge impact. But there is a market there for it. When it comes to frozen, I would say Peter's Imports and Fral. Those are the 2 that I can think of off the top of my head that you might want to approach when it comes to frozen products. But again, I do recommend you to get in touch with us at the chamber or through the Importers Association, and talk with them and find out who the companies are, and then you can go and talk to each one of them. Because I can tell you right now, and that we faced when we did this project, there's a lot of companies that locally that you don't get in very easily because they're being bombarded by the world for their products, to sell their products. So it is important that you have more than just one to approach, so that if it does fail there, you have the other one you can follow.
Okay, great. So we're looking at, let's see. The question is from Sheila George. So the ladies want to talk about their skincare products and so on. So in terms of organic skincare products, is certification needed to prove products are organic or natural in the Curacao market? Or can I just say, hey, this is organic. This is organic face cream. I'm not too familiar with all the face products. And
if you say it is what it is, you need to also provide the specs. You need to provide the specifications to the Ministry of Health, because it goes on the skin of people, or it goes into their mouths and stuff like that. So it is really important, yeah, that you have that at hand.
So we're seeing another question. Is there room for dried hibiscus flower from Nigeria?
Sorry, say that again.
Dried hibiscus flower. I think that's like a sorrel or something.
Soil? It's soil? No, you said it's a
But like a sorrel drink, like a drink.
flower drink.
Yeah, you boil it.
I don't know, Stephen. I
I
don't
think it's
know,
something that would need to, you need to educate about what it is, what it does, and then see if there's room for it. Because if you're talking about natural products, again, people are with the COVID-19, etc., everybody's looking at their immune system, how to be healthier, more organic, and stuff like that. So if it has something special, I haven't not heard about it. So if there's some educational things about it, and there are importers of either organic things, or you will see an importer interested in the product, then there's room for it. So it really depends. I do not know it. Yeah.
So looking at some of the people within our chat box, I wanted to ask a question on Casey Candy's behalf, or Casey Confectionery. They normally sell like sweeties and ginger mints and so on. Basically candy and confectionery. How is the market for that in Curacao?
Like I said, we have sweet tooth. We love sweets on this island. And there's a market for it. I mean, if it's a great candy or confectionery, I mean, there's a market. Believe me, there's a market for it. Let's face the fact, it's not that healthy, but here in Curacao, we love to enjoy life. And one of the things you enjoy life with is sweets. So now there's a market for it. That's no problem.
All right, so we have a question from Kaylee, and she's asking, how is ice cream in Curacao? How is the ice cream market in Curacao? And what are the documentations needed for export, perhaps a dairy certificate or something like that?
There's one ice cream producer on the island. It's called Lovers. They also export, by the way. But there's a market here for it. I'll give you an example. One of the places that whenever you go by there is full. I don't know if we have one in Trinidad. It's called Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors.
Oh, we do have one.
And that's always full of people. I do not think you need a certificate to import. I don't know if Giovanni is online. Giovanni, are you there? Let me see here. Maybe you can, I see his name. He's from our group also, and he is the one that did. No, he's not there. We can find out if you need it. I do not think so. But again, it's food stuff. There's not a lot of rules and regulation when it comes to that.
Yeah, it needs to have its specifications. And like I said, if you say the contents is that, you need to have the specifications for it and the certifications for it. With regards to ice cream market, again, it's just like the chocolate. We import it from everywhere else. So make sure you're unique and how you enter, what your target group is, because like Billy said, we have the Baskin Robbins, we have the Ben and Jerry's, we have the local one, which is Lovers. So you will have a variety of competitors. So you better be unique.
I want to bring something up here, especially when you're talking about selling products on the island, whether it's chocolate or ice cream or something from the Caribbean. Don't forget, Curacao has 160,000 inhabitants, but it receives 1 million tourists yearly.
Yearly.
So that should tell you that if I'm a tourist and there's a Caribbean ice cream or something from the Caribbean that I can buy or have, I will. And we're talking about 1 million people. So it's a huge market. So you should, when you come to Curacao, not only market to that segment, but also make sure the tourists know that you're here. A lot of people forget about them, but they're a huge market. Mostly Europeans, but it's a huge market.
All right, I wanted to know, is it Giovanni Melfor you mentioned?
Yes, yes.
I can ask him to unmute. I'm seeing him in the chat.
Yes,
Giovanni,
that's me.
okay, Giovanni, is there any rules or regulation when it comes to dairy products?
No, not really. There are no separate rules for dairy products. If you observe what we call the ordinance on goods, that would suffice, I think.
All right, great. All right, thanks, Giovanni.
Most
So we have
welcome, Eunice.
All right. We have another question here from Kezia. She's asking, well, you know, you mentioned the sweet tooth and Curacao. So she has a really important question. She says, is there a push from the government to reduce sugar content in beverages?
No.
No?
No. I hate to say it, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
Government hasn't started any campaign to prevent, because one of the problems that we have here a lot is people having, what do you call it?
Diabetes.
Huh?
Diabetes.
Diabetes.
Mhm.
We have a major diabetes problem on the island. So there's talk about prevention, but there's no movement going on from the government to on that content. She's asking.
Yes, in the past
All
it
right.
has been spoken about, and also to levy extra taxes and stuff like that. But the government just changed this year, so new ball game, new priorities.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not a priority, I can guarantee you that.
All right, so we're looking at another question. Is there a market for vegan products?
Yes, it's growing. There's a market for it and it's growing. That's all I can tell you. It's, you know, there isn't a lot of products on the market that are vegan. So you have a pretty wide open chance there to introduce your vegan product.
Yeah, and
Right.
we've seen also the upcoming of some little bit of restaurants focused on that only. So that also shows, and their popularity also during COVID-19 with regards to
Yeah.
deliveries and curbside pickups, etc. How they've been pretty successful shows also that there's market for it.
All right, great. So one of the questions I got is would you be able to provide assistance in terms of advertising across traditional means in Curacao?
Yes. I hate to say that, but that's my business. I've been in business 30 years to do that. So yes, I would be able to help any company that comes in and to do it. And like I said in my presentation, there's a lot of, because of a lot of companies in Curacao are also doing business in Aruba, Bonaire, and St. Martin. So if you're going to go into one of those islands also, we would be able to help you, or any company on the island mostly will be able to help you. But yes, we are available for that.
All right. So we're looking at another question here. The question is, where are the tourists mainly coming from?
Holland by far, the Netherlands.
Mhm.
Like I said, we have 26 flights a week out of Amsterdam, which is almost 3 flights a day. UK is almost non-existent. Well, we do get a lot of Germans also. So any country that doesn't have, you know, like we have the English island or the Spanish islands on the island, and we're Dutch. So any country in Europe that's not English or Spanish, yes, we receive tourists. And the US is also a growing market. But what's interesting about Curacao is that Curacao does not live only off of 1 or 2 markets. We do get a lot of Colombian tourists. We do get Brazilians. So we're, you know, South America, North America, and Europe, even the Caribbean.
Yes.
We also promoted the Caribbean, especially Trinidad and Tobago. So, you know, as a matter of fact, I used to hear this, I don't know if it's true, that the Bajans come to Trinidad to do shopping. And we were trying to get the Bajans to come to Curacao to do the shopping instead of But anyways, so that's a little bit about the tourism industry. It's booming. It's booming right now in Curacao. And you know, if we capture what places like Aruba and Jamaica capture in the US market, we'll surpass everybody because of our big presence in the European and South American market.
Mhm. Yeah. So there's another question. Is there a significant demand for gluten-free bakery products and flour in Curacao?
Yes, there is. There is, though, I must tell you, a very active bakery on the island called ISA, and they do a lot of different products when it comes to, bakery products. But yes, there is a possibility for it. We do import bread, if you can believe it. But now companies such as McDonald's are using local bakeries to bake their bread. But their bread, some bread is imported, even though it's small quantities. Frozen bread, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Same like the vegan answer is the same for the gluten-free. You will see smaller bakeries doing, with very specific gluten-free bread, etc. for the market. So you see it upcoming small, but you see it steadily growing bit by bit.
Yeah.
People getting more conscious.
All right. So I want to know if we have any more questions. I don't see the chat box moving anymore. I don't know if you all answered all the questions and now everybody's stumped.
Looks like we answered most of the questions.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have any more questions coming. Let's leave the lines open for a little longer. We could probably chat about, you can just give us a little insight on the Port Authority. How long does packages take on the port to clear, things like that, so we can clear the exporters' mind and have them at ease?
Usually, not 1 or 2 days, you can get your container out. Depends on what time of the year it is. At the end of the year, it's very difficult because they're very busy. We do have one company that unloads containers, and only one on the island right now. So it makes it, if you want to do your export or your containerized products, make sure you send it in mid-year or don't. From October on, it becomes very busy. But containers can come out pretty fast, depending on what time of the year it is and what's going on.
And question, do you have an average on, like, I know you mentioned using the distributors. So what would you say is the percentage that a distributor may take to sell a product to a supermarket?
Say that again?
What percentage do you think that a distributor may take to sell your product to a supermarket?
I have no idea. That I don't have an answer to.
It also depends on the product and the volume of it. So maybe the connection that you have, Billy, that Ms. Truman, maybe she would have an idea on indication or an average on that. So you could get back on that.
Yeah, I think that's a good place for you to go. If you want to, I can find out for you.
Okay, great. I see we have a comment from Nikita from Casey Candy, and they said one of the issues is the lead time to get the goods to the island. So that's one of the larger issues they have from.
Totally agree with what she's saying. Like you just saw, I mean, you're talking 14 to 21 days,
yeah.
Which is, it's a long time. I mean, even out of China, they can get your container faster than out of Trinidad, and we're only an hour and a half flight away. But it is something you have to work on. We have to work on as Caribbean, not only Curacao, as Caribbean. I think also Trinidad and Tobago, especially if we want to promote our companies to export. We're going to have to work on shipping somehow in the Caribbean.
Yeah. And one of the questions we have again is, what's the name of the company only that offload containers?
Curacao Port Services. But they only offload. They do not handle the container itself, like, what do you call it? Doing all the paperwork and stuff. All they do is offload and transport. All
right. Well, I think we don't have much questions. We don't have any more questions coming in the meantime. So if you want to just give like a last breakdown of the Curacao market from yourself, Billy, and Stephen, and we can probably sign off.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Eunice. It was a pleasure giving the presentation to everybody. Like I said in my first page of my presentation, it's a growing market, even though we went through tough times. And one of the things that really hurt everybody, including us, is COVID. We saw a decrease of 25% of our GDP in 2019-20. And all we can see now, hopefully, is growth coming up. Curacao is a very interesting market. You know, it offers you also the possibility for you to distribute your products to the rest of the Dutch Caribbean or to Holland. Let's put it that way. We have certain regulations that might help you. So, and I highly recommend you to get in touch with the chamber. It doesn't cost you anything. We'll get you all the information you need, and they'll point you in the direction that you need to go to enter the market. Curacao, like I said, is a market, like also that we saw, is a market with a high income compared with the rest of the Caribbean, and that is interesting to you. Also, like I said, when you do market your products on the island, make sure that you don't look at the what's happening worldwide with social, but look, there's a lot of traditional still. But all in all, I'm glad to see that there's interest out of Trinidad and Tobago for the island, and we're ready to. As a matter of fact, 2 days ago, Stephen, was it 2 days ago? We had no, the 18th. We had a how to do business in Trinidad and Tobago for our local companies. So suddenly the two are crossing each other, which is good, and we should work more together in the Caribbean. So thank you again for your time. If there's anything I can do, Eunice has my contact. Any information you need, he has my contact. I'll make sure he has Stephen's contact and Giovanni when it comes to trade, and we'll be able to help you.
All right, thanks a lot. We can have Stephen sign off as well.
Yes, thank you, Eunice. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I will drop the business information email address in the chat box. If anyone needs a list of the importers, distributors, they can send an email there and we can assist them. And for any other questions, like indicated, maybe someone wasn't interested in publicly posing the question, they can send us a question anyways, and we'll answer them or guide them through to who does know the answer. So we will help in that. And always look at Curacao as not only Curacao is a market of 150,000 people, but again, more than that. The tourists that we have, around 1 million population per year, fluctuating, but also markets through Curacao. So look at that as a bigger picture opportunity that we might assist in. All right, that would be my final words in that case.
All right. So I'd like
my contact information for anybody that needs me in the chat.
All right. Thanks a lot.